Thank you very much for joining us also today for this second artist talk of the St.Moritz Art Masters 2012. We have a wonderful chance to experience Hamish Fulton, the famous British artist, in between of conceptual and land art, but they will explain better after. And of course, we have two special guests, Christian Ganzenburg and Uschi Demeter. Both, she is a journalist and a curator for contemporary art, and Christian studied cultural studies, and she works in the art field. So, please, Christian, enjoy your talk.
Thank you very much. A warm welcome to everybody. I take the chance to introduce both of them, even though you might know Ursula Demeter and Hamish Fulton. I'll start with Mrs. Demeter. She was born in Munich, Germany, now lives in South Tyrol. Journalist and author of many books, but also a curator of art exhibitions with Hamish, for example. In Geneva, she studied French and was then a long-term collaborator with the German painter and author Lothar Günther Buchheim. As Hamish, Ursula Demeter took the chance to see many fascinating parts of the world by walking, hiking and mountaineering. We'll speak about that and differences in between these different modes of walking. And they have also somebody in common, which is an acquaintance of both, is Reinhold Messner. And she accompanied Reinhold Messner, her ex-husband, on many expeditions through the Himalaya. Did several research tours for magazines like Geo or Spiegel, or has written for international newspapers like Jardin de Mode in Paris or Weltwoche in Zurich. Recently, she published a picture book on the Dolomites, and in 2008 she has created an exhibition for the Expo in Zaragoza with artists like Olafur Eliasson, Doug Aitken and Hamish Fulton. And then Hamish Fulton, whose wonderful exhibition you might already have seen. He was born in 1946 in London. He grew up in Newcastle, up in Tyne, and then moved south to Canterbury, where he lives today. Hamish was educated in London at the Hammersmith College and later on at St. Martin's School of Art, where he met, for example, Richard Long, a long-term artist friend of him, but also Gilbert and George studied there. And Fulton describes himself as an walking artist, with his working joining the two separate fields and disciplines of walking and art. This is possible.
Well, I think the poster that we have is a good poster in that it shows a certain aspect of the location of the walk tomorrow in St.Moritz. I think that coming from England, I come to the Engadine and I realise how many footpaths there are in this area with very good signposting, because you can go to other countries and the signposts start from the road and then rapidly there are no more signs. So you maybe get lost and the way hasn't been kept up. But in Switzerland, the ways are very well marked and kept up. So in order to raise a question about different categories of walks, you know, that why make only hill walks or why only mountain walks? I'm interested to make all different types, different categories of walks, and to think of walking in inventive terms, not just to merely accept a certain way of experiencing the experience of walking and also the environment. So the one in St.Moritz is essentially, it's an indoor walk, and this is the summer and this is the Engadine. So these are in a sense quite opposite. So that the indoor walk is I'll describe it quickly because we don't want to get stuck on this, but where two lines of walkers go down a series of steps in the indoor car park in St.Moritz, and the steps go down a very long way, relatively speaking. They continue to go down and down. So it will be two lines of walkers going at the same opposite each other, going down all the steps, and then coming together closer. Then the automatic doors open, and then the two lines go out, and then eventually you come out, which is the image in the poster. You come outside, and you realise that you're not in Manhattan. You're in the Engadine, and so then you go out into the air, and you see a mountain and the lake in front of you. So it's just to create an experience. So if you say, why do this? What's the point of doing this? The point is really to have this different experience of walking, that walking doesn't have to be one conventional form of walking. But there's nothing wrong, I have to say, with conventional walking.
Mm-hmm. And you started it a while ago with group walks, and actually all your works are also invitations to get to know experience about walking. But then group walks is something really it was quite a step for you to have a group of individuals walking at the same time. Why did you do that? What was the interesting?
The first group walk that I made was in 1994 in Japan on a project with Marina Abramovic.
Mm-hmm.
And she was making one kind of work with some young artists, and I was making a repeat walk with a group of 15 Japanese, all Japanese, no foreign people, only Japanese. And so this seemed that from that, then I realised that group walking, public walking, takes you actually into a different perception than of art, other than if you were looking at a painting hanging on the wall or a sculpture on the floor. You actually, the involvement and the unknown and the nervousness, and so that in your mind you're thinking two things maybe at the same time. At the beginning you're thinking, this is really stupid, really boring, I wished I hadn't come, and then gradually maybe you think, well, actually I'm slowing down now, my mind is slowing down, my nervousness is calming down, and actually then I think, this is becoming interesting because of the way that it works on my mind. So I think that really the area of public group walking, is for me, it's really in its infancy, it's kind of, it feels a very big area to work in.
Mm. You did so many walks, more than hundreds and hundreds of walks. Why Mount Everest? Why in 2009? When it was such it's
a
quite
question.
discursive issue to climb up there, and also with your ethical principle that you don't leave any traces or remains.
Yeah.
And this is something which I guess is very hard to get up there without leaving anything.
Yeah. Well, just to be sort of quick about a very big question, I would say that this man here, Hans York, he purchased some work of mine in 2000 regarding the about I made some works, and he collected them, and then from that money which generated from Hans York, then I put that money into paying and going on a commercial expedition to climb Choyoyu in Tibet, so that the sculptures turned into going up Choyoyu, and also the help of the Chudi Gallery. So then I went to 8,000 meters without bottled oxygen, and so this was really incredible. So that then I came down, obviously, and that's 2000. Then in 2004, I wanted to make a sort of comment on U.S. land art, because I sort of you say, oh, just forget land art, just don't bring it up again, just forget the whole topic, forget it, let it be, let it go to sleep, it's okay, But I still think that land art is known about, but making art about being in nature and the landscape where you don't make anything, I think that this point is not understood, or it's not understood. Mm-hmm. So clearly, when you build something, you make a huge sculpture in the Mojave Desert, then people photograph it from a helicopter, and now it goes into art forum, and then it's part of contemporary art. So there's nothing wrong with that, except that it is just one kind of a point of view. Mm-hmm. So there are many points of view. That's the whole thing, I think, about lots of different artists, all with different ideas, different feelings, different points of view. They're different people. I mean, that's what George of Gilbert and George says. We don't like people to be all the same, So I think that in 2004, then I had this idea to summit Denali in Alaska, because Alaska is in the United States, and the United States is essentially where this kind of rearranging nature land art originated from. So I wanted to make this kind of private, because why would anybody be interested, or why would anyone see that? So I'd have to call it private comment on land art going up to the top of Denali. And of course, when you're on Denali, then somebody says, "Oh, this is the Messna Kulwa." So you think, "Oh, right." So then come down, and then gradually, I didn't have the idea to want to go up Everest for a long time, for years and years, because when the expedition came together in Kathmandu, the expedition leaders said to everybody, "So when did you first want to climb Mount Everest?" And so quite a few people, their wish went back a long way, but because it's, for me, not a mountaineer, then it becomes quite a sort of serious issue. And you mustn't forget the issue of cost. So I don't know which is harder, climbing the mountain or acquiring the budget to go to the mountain, because it's a giant cost, and I personally didn't have the money. So a gallery, Hausler Contemporary, then from Munich and Zurich, then they had to kind of find supporters, and a support group was formed, the money was got, and I joined an extremely good expedition, Adventure Consultants, which is one of the 2 expedition companies featured in Into Thin Air by John Krakauer, which basically slags off, demotes, is critical of, although realistic, is critical of anything to do with going up Everest. And then I would meet lots of people, relatively speaking, who would say, "Oh, why would you want to do that?" If I ever met a real climber, they would say, "Why do that?" So it was totally, given, thumbs down. But because I'm a contemporary artist, I absolutely didn't buy that at all. That's a kind of mentality coming from inside all the permutations and the history of mountaineering. So whilst I can read about that, I'm a contemporary artist, and so I thought, as I'm getting older, because I was nearly 63 at the time, I thought, well, I'll try to do something it's very, very clear and very difficult for me personally.
Because there was a political motivation behind it. Was there?
Well,
we'll speak about political issues later, but was there also something in this respect of this particular project?
The thing is that when you're going on the southeast ridge, you come around to the top of the balcony, you go up to the summit, you've actually crossed into Tibet, without a passport. So that's just like a joke. That's not it's not a serious point. But certainly, I think that when people would be critical of me to even think about doing this, they would say pollution, all of the rubbish. Then they would say that on the South Col there are mountains, literally mountains of empty oxygen cylinders, and you'll also be stepping over other climbers who are dead, frozen bodies, and so that all these reasons come together in a big negative. But for me personally, doing it, I thought it was very much like Uschi is saying with Reinhold Messner, where you feel that you can do this. And so this was very interesting psychologically. The experience is very psychological, very mental. And there were 9 places on the expedition, but because the global economy was down, there were only 6 people had the money globally to join that year for this very big famous company. And then eventually 2 didn't want to continue, because in the base camp tent, you could feel that there's like a mood goes around everybody, and it was going down, and 2 people didn't want to continue, and they left.
I hope we touched some topics which were interesting, and thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Hamish.
Oh, thank you,
Mrs. Demeter, and enjoy your afternoon.